bum, bum. What's up, guys? Welcome to another KSR Happy Hour presented by Country Boy Brewing. They are our favorite sponsor here on the Happy Hour, and we're happy to announce that they have extended their sponsorship of KSR Happy Hour. So cheers to them.
Yeah.
It is a day of celebration.
Cheers to that.
I am joined by Nick Roush, Jack Pilgrim, and Stephen Peak. What's up, knuckleheads? Anything happened today? Kind of a newsy day. Didn't expect that when I woke up, but my goodness.
That's been like the story of the last few months, right? Oh, didn't expect that. What a crazy day.
I know. That's the truth. So we'll start obviously with the Mitch Barnhart news. This kind of just all escalated within the past 2 days, thanks to Andy Bashir, because unless you've been under a rock, Mitch Barnhart will not be becoming the executive in residence of the UK Sports and Workforce Initiative, which it'll be interesting to see if that even exists now. So that kind of reversal came as pressure was put on UK by Andy Bashir, mostly over the law school dean situation, but Andy kind of threw this in there as another example of lack of transparency and mismanagement by UK. So after 2 days of a lot of public pressure, he will not be doing that anymore. It's not really clear if he's just retiring for good now. Previously there was some he had his role as the special assistant or advisor to the president, which was a slightly less cushy position, but it was a position nonetheless. We can go over those quotes in a minute, but Nick, what was your first reaction? You had the most, I would say, I don't want to say excited, but biggest reaction in the group chat.
It was just hilarious that bullying worked. There was a drop on my old radio show where they like to make fun of me because I said bullying works. I've been bullied a time or two. I'm not afraid to admit it. And you know what? It toughened the callus. It made me stronger. It made me better. Bullying can work if used effectively and in moderation. And that was certainly the case here by prominent figures. No, it really wasn't just the prominent figures that came to play, but they did serve as sort of a tipping point in this situation because in my mind, Mitch Barnhart just flew way too close to the sun on this. I mean, I want to say they were already in that special assistant to the regional vice president role or whatever he was going to get with Eli. It was already like a, $700,000 a year gig to do nothing. And he just got a little greedy, asking for more, wanting to start something new. I guess in the other role, he would have been eating too much hay. And so he had to back off it a little bit. But I think when I take off my, okay, this is really funny hat for just a moment, part of me, it makes me sad because Mitch just doesn't know how to end. Like, he doesn't know how to land the plane. We saw it at the end of the Will Stein press conference. Like, you're universally praised for this hire, and then you just start screaming at the media who asked a question about NIL. Like, people aren't very happy with Mark Pope, but you know what? They could have just bickered over that. Instead, you gave them a reason to really hammer you, just rake you over the coals and ignore all the good you did because of this special executive in residence job. So that part, it stinks because it's hard to end on a high note, and he kind of would have with the way this Stein thing is going, but it just kind of all got flushed down the toilet. All that goodwill lost and glossed over because they tried to just make up a role that really $1 million a year. Like, come on, like that. You can't let that. That's not going to skate by in this new world where money and dollars and penny pinching mean everything.
Yeah, and I go back to the quote from Mitch's retirement press conference where he addressed said knuckleheads, the people who questioned this new cushy role, and said this notion that this golden parachute is falling from the ceiling and I'm going to sit in the rocking chair and eat hay is ridiculous garbage. That notion started by some 2 or 3 knuckleheads needs to end. I'm excited about working. I'm not done. Jack, it sounds like he is done. You covered this story for us on the site. Looking at Capilouto's quotes, it seems like he's still going to be able to determine, the exit plan for Mitch. He's stepping down June 30th. It doesn't sound like he's going to have any official role at UK, but I would think he's still going to get a nice parting gift if Eli Capilouto has anything to say about it.
Which he probably should. He is the most successful AD, and I mean, one of the only of my lifetime. So that, but generally speaking, he did so much good for this university and made the non-basketball and football sports matter, and that does stand for something, and he does deserve a ton of credit for that. And I think that is, it should be a positive goodbye and transition into the next young up and coming AD. And we'll talk about one of the new names that has emerged. But I think that's just been the biggest frustration of this is why can't we just focus on the good and turn it into that? But when even a slight pushback and questions of, well, okay, I can hear you on the new role and title that we were making up out of thin air, but can you just tell us what it means? Like, give us what your day-to-day job would look like. And the defensiveness of that, well, why are you guys making such a big deal about this? It's like, well, we're just asking, dude. Like, we're not trying to make this personal. Just tell us what your day-to-day is going to look like and how you are going to make, it worth $1 million. Do you prove to us that it's worth $1 million? And then just the defensive from there was always like, okay, why are you so defensive about this? And that's led to so much pushback with, the Herald Leader and the op-eds, and like it became something to the point where Governor Andy Beshear had to come out and as part of a greater story, but. I don't want to say it was vindication, but it was kind of like, it felt like we were being gaslit in real time. Like, well, aren't we just asking what you're going to be doing? So to actually get some answers and have it lead to something, I think is a little bit vindicating.
It's funny because we used to wonder why we only heard from Mitch Barnhart maybe once a year. It's like, why doesn't he ever take questions, or why doesn't he ever talk? Champions Blue happens, he has to start talking more, and this is what happens, right? Like, well, there might be a reason why he didn't speak publicly often. It's because when push came to shove, he kind of got a shovel and would dig his own grave.
Yeah, and I don't know which was more stunning to come across my timeline. Andy's tweet on Tuesday or whatever it was, the first tweet that he kind of referenced the $1 million job that has no assigned duties or no specific duties, or the email we got today from UK with the quotes from Eli and Mitch saying it's over. I mean, they were both just really, really stunning moves.
At least Matt gave us a heads up on this one,
Yeah. Yeah, he was right, man.
Out by a couple hours, yeah.
And I think the timing of that was also interesting because Brett Setzer, the prominent booster, had another op-ed in the Herald Leader that came out almost at the exact same time, about an hour before the UK email. So really, really crazy stuff. Steven, you were live on air when the official news came through, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Man, this was a day to have Nick Roush and TJ Walker joining me. I do have some questions about it though. So as I was reading the article that Jack put up on KentuckySportsRadio.com. You should check out that website if you haven't
heard of it.
Yeah. The compensation associated with his departure will be supported entirely by private funds, not athletic funds, not funds that would go toward NIL opportunities or university funds that I will raise. This is what Eli Capilouto is saying. What is that? What is he talking about there? Can somebody smarter than me tell me?
I guess he's just trying to be more transparent in that they're not going to take away from the UK Athletics Fund or the NIL Fund, because I think there was a little confusion initially over the executive and role, whatever, that it was going to come from the academic budget, the UK academic budget, but then they had to come back and correct it and say, no, it's coming out of UK athletics. So I think they're trying to cover themselves, sort of. So I guess Eli is going to raise this money. That'll be interesting.
Like, where is he going
to? Who wants to give Mitch Barnhart money to go?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Go fund me.
Yeah, where is he getting the dollars from? I mean, is he just going to the same people that already give millions of dollars? In which case, I mean, I don't want.
Not going to be Brett Setzer,
that money going.
I'll tell you that.
Or he could go to Brett and say, "How serious are you about Mitch going?"
I would love to see that response. notes.
I do think that there is a like this short-term hiccup. We'll use Mitch's old terminology for Mark Stoops. So he talked about no, it was blip. That
1 year
was
blip.
1 year blip.
That was his phrasing. But the way that athletics is changing how schools operate, it's changing like who approves everything at the board of trustees level, champions blue. Like I wasn't even really sure who. I guess Eli is who's hiring the new AD, but the board doesn't get approval. Like, but also,
Right.
what does champions blue have to do with it? Like, there's a lot of uncertainty. This right here, and this is where love him or hate him. Like Andy Bashir is basically his statement was, all right, this is a land grant university. It's public. We have to do things in the public. Like y'all can't just be doing things behind closed doors and not address it. And that was the other part. Like Eli never spoke or answered questions about this. He didn't even show up.
He wasn't even at the press conference. Yeah.
It's so weird. Like you're willing to do all this for Mitch, but you can't even show up. So like I hope that all this friction and sort of chaos that's ensued lets all of those people who are trying to do things behind closed doors realize that they're not going to be able to get away with it without public backlash down the road.
I think that's the big thing. I think Andy's tweets kind of started it. People are going to be watching UK during this AD search. And we happen to get news on that, courtesy of our friend Justin Rowland, who reported that Jeremiah Dickey, who is the AD at Boise State, is a candidate for Kentucky's AD job. That is interesting on a number of levels. To me, number one being he is an outside voice. He does not work at UK. He is not part of the Mitch Barnhart tree. He is a complete outsider. So I think that's very interesting. He's young-ish. I mean, if we're considering mid-40s young, which I hope we do because I'm approaching them. He's, hasn't really been in the industry super, super long. He got his start. Let me pull up our bio at UT El Paso and kind of worked his way up. He went to Baylor. He was a VP of operations and then VP of athletics. And then when Baylor had its athletic director role open, he was a candidate for that. And then he moved to Boise State, where he's been since 2021. Obviously, they're known more for football, but they have gotten better in basketball in years past. I think they've been to the past 3 NCAA tournaments. Reading his bio, it's interesting that he became the first AD in Boise State history to fire a coach mid-season.
Yep.
So he's not afraid to do that.
Successful coach too. Like Avalos was really good the year prior, and then they kind of stunk, and that was what gave us Bush Hamden, because Bush Hamden took over play calling duties, and then they went to the Mountain West Championship. I can't remember if they won that or not. But
that's interesting. I hadn't even put 2 and 2 together there. So clearly he's not afraid to fire a coach mid-season. Maybe kind of opposite what Mitch Barnhart was known for. He was known for sticking with coaches and longevity and all that. Jack, did you have any thoughts on Jeremiah Dickey?
So I actually talked to somebody that has worked with him in the past that speaks the absolute world of him, who is not currently fond of the current setup at the University of Kentucky and was unbelievably pessimistic about it, especially if they promoted from somebody within. I reached out and said, hey, just by total coincidence, do you happen to know this guy? He goes, are you serious? I said, yeah, apparently he's one of the new candidates. He said he would save UK athletics. I could not be higher on him. And I'm like, wait, don't you hate how the current setup? So I know nothing about this guy outside of somebody who has worked with him in the past, believes that he could be the savior of UK athletics if he were to be the guy. So, hey, I'm all in on Jeremiah Dickey.
That's promising to me.
It
sounds
great.
Great.
Peak like that. I think that was the thing that everybody was worried about. That it was just going to be same old, business as usual.
Yeah, I feel like we got to have fresh eyes on some stuff, and I like his resume is great. 2025 Sports Business Journal AD of the Year or nominee. Now he didn't win it, but it's kind of like being a Rhodes Scholar candidate, right? Like where you're right there, you're that close. So So I'm excited for this. I hope this is who they get. I mean, it's like you said, 46 is really young especially for an athletic director. So it's just getting some fresh blood in there will do wonders, I think, for Kentucky. I mean, you've heard me just bitch and complain about the game day atmosphere of the football game, just stuff like that. That from the bottom all the way up to the top, just let's re-examine it all.
Yeah, and the timing I thought was kind of interesting because there were some rumblings like last week. I think Ryan Lemon said he heard that they were going to announce the new AD. And then you get Andy's tweets, and then all of a sudden that kind of came to a halt. And now we get this name that's out there. So I don't think that all of that is a coincidence. I think it all kind of plays together. So really interesting. Roush, it looked like you had something to say.
Yeah, I've got my antennas up because I've always thought that Greg Byrne could potentially be looking for an out. And yesterday he just gave some enormous contract extensions to Nate Oates and Kalen DeBoer. And the one with DeBoer is particularly jarring because you rarely get a universally criticized contract extension. I don't know who DeBoer's agent is, if this was a classic Jimmy Sexton deal or what, but he got a huge raise when people are basically like, you need to be better next year or we're going to run you out of town. And then the other part is the Nate Oates deal. Have you seen Nate Oates' buyout? Nate Oates, it's a $15 million buyout, and then it's $12 million through March 2028. Guess what it is on April 1st, 2028?
What?
$0. So I just maybe Greg Byrne's just trying to burn Alabama down on his way out the door to Kentucky and then to dominate them. I don't know. Like this is Brian Windhorst fingers. Just me. Maybe I'm thinking like this could be a smokescreen with Dickey. I don't know. I spend a lot of time on the internet, so I could be crazy. But those contract extensions just blew my mind yesterday. It's like who was asking? Who thought? Nobody thought they deserved this. Maybe you say Oates or something to restructure his buyout, but those were wild. So I'm still not willing to say that Mitch Barnhart's eating is not in his barn just yet. So yeah, let's just we're gonna let this cake bake a little bit longer. Timetable. When do you all think we find out? Because I still think it will be after Memorial Day. Is everybody else think it's before or after Memorial Day?
I'm going to go before.
I just feel like they'll want good press after this whole Mitch thing. So I do feel like they will want to make something happen quickly. Yeah.
Here's one other thing too that I noticed. I'm an old man now. I watch the local news every night. Some of it is also I want to see the local weather forecast. It's that time of year,
It's like you have a big event coming up in how many days from now?
Well, 2 and I got every Saturday. There's something outdoors, so we gotta try to keep the rain away. We're 0 for 1. We want to go at least 2 for 3. Bet 600. But Bellarmine's president announced that she will be retiring at the end of her 10-year tenure next June. Like it was like 18 months from now. Eli Capilouto's been there 16 years. I mean, when
I know, it's true.
This is a 10-year job, and that's not even like people who say that Kentucky basketball is a 10-year job is like a folksy saying. No, like every president, like they're all 10 years. Like that's just how long they are. And Eli is more than 50% past it. So like, when's that going to happen? Like this,
right.
That feels like that's our next big sort of surprise that comes out of nowhere is a Capilouto retirement announcement.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, given all the pressure that coming from Andy Bashir this week, the Board of Trustees meetings are tomorrow. I think there is a lot of pressure on him to kind of ride off into the sunset. And also it kind of feels like he's ridden off into the sunset already. He's not really around much. I don't know. I guess he's got to finish his listening tour, but it'll be interesting. Not boring times in BBM for certain. A couple comments from the chat. Let's see. MGNKTKY says, Bama has never been this good in basketball. They're not letting Oates go. You can't blame him for that. Captain Crash says, but he does watch Jane Pauley Sunday mornings, right, Tyler? Heck yes. Shout out CBS Sunday mornings. One of the best shows ever.
Yeah,
It is excellent.
I'm a little behind.
It's good stuff.
I know it is. It's really great.
Well, we have, let's see, Jack, you have to leave us soon, and I want you to be able to talk about your big scoop today. Can we skip ahead to Tyron Stokes? We'll come back to transfer portal. You had an exciting piece on KSR Plus today about a potential assistant coach candidate for Kentucky that is still on the table and could have huge ramifications in the Tyron Stokes recruitment. So I will let you fire away.
Yes, this has been something that I've been digging on for a month and really just kind of waiting for the right time and just seeing how the Tyron Stokes things, a lot of the reason why my optimism in Kentucky potentially landing Tyron Stokes has been kind of hinged on this. Kentucky officially offered Jamal Crawford, 3-time Sixth Man of the Year in the NBA, almost 20,000 point scorer in the league, just a legend of one of the craftiest ball handlers in history. But just as connected as they come in the NBA world, as connected as they come, especially in the Pacific Northwest, deep Seattle ties. But more importantly, the assistant coach for Tyron Stokes in his senior year at Rainier Beach there in Seattle, the abrupt move from Notre Dame in California up to Rainier Beach for Tyron Stokes was entirely Jamal Crawford driven. So I think just understanding how desperate Mark Pope is to land Tyron Stokes, and he has been relentless in throwing every Hail Mary, every curveball, just pulling out every stop to try to land the number one player in the country. I think Mark Pope just understands how important this recruit is and how important this year is. And he has stopped at nothing to try to land Tyron Stokes, to going to Jamal Crawford and saying, buddy, we have an assistant coach opening and we would love for you to have it. My understanding of how this is all unfolded is that Jamal Crawford got the offer initially. So funny as it is, the rumor of Jamal Crawford initially, when Kentucky fans were going, hey, why don't they just throw a Hail Mary at Jamal Crawford to try to land Tyron? Nothing had been in the works up until that point, and then somebody asked Jamal about it and said, hey, would you be interested in that? And he's like, I mean, I don't know. Nobody's reached out to me about it. That speculation kind of got the ball rolling to where Mark Pope then reached out to Jamal and was like, well, shoot, I didn't think you'd be interested in becoming an assistant coach. And he's like, well, nobody's ever asked me. So that led to an official formal offer from Mark Pope to Jamal Crawford to say, hey, come do this. Let's be a part of it. Initially, he was super gung-ho, really excited about it. I think from that point, some of just the questions of, I have 3 really young kids. One of them, J.J. Crawford, is the number 1 player in the class of 2029, a teammate of Tyron Stokes for that Rainier Beach team right now. What do I do with him? Do I send him to prep school? Does he come and play at Frederick Douglass and Lexington? I don't know. Those extra questions out beyond just the logistics and how we would get to that point started creeping in. And I think it kind of weighed on him hey, I want to be a coach, but I have a really cushy job with NBA on NBC. He is currently on the broadcast team right now as the NBA playoffs are going on. So I think a lot of just the reality of the magnitude of the situation kind of set in, and he declined it. The first wave of it, he initially declined it. But I think the more people he talked to after the fact, he kind of was like, well, am I making the right decision by turning this down? Is this the right opportunity for me? If I was going to do it, why would I not do it at the University of Kentucky, the flagship program, the biggest brand? I can go recruit 5 stars. Mark Pope needs desperate help recruiting right now, and I know I can be a recruiter. And I think long term he wants to be a head coach at the college level. So I think he would view this as the stepping stone of, hey, if I can absolutely nail this for a couple of years, do the math. I believe that he would like to be a head coach somewhere for J.J. Crawford whenever the time comes, so he can coach his son when the time comes there. So I never say never. I still think it's very much up in the air, but it is definitely something that I would be monitoring, and I do know that Mark Pope is absolutely desperate to land Tyron Stokes, and that's why Jamal Crawford is officially a coaching candidate at the University of Kentucky to fill that vacant role.
I mean, the message
you're telling me there's a chance.
The message borders made this happen. If this gets across the finish line, some online guy, it goes back to the guy who made the fake Trilly post the other day.
Uh,
Like, what if
$14
you-
million.
Like, what if you could manifest something into reality? That this is, it's at least a possibility because somebody just said it out loud. It's like, oh, they should
Yeah.
do that.
Somebody on KS Board had a great comment. They said, the Banner Boys need to make a banner for Jamal Crawford because it may just work. Let's get Mo Williams out there FaceTiming him, just showing him. Yeah, Banner Boys had a rough week. The last I saw, they had burned their Donnie Freeman banner. So this could be a fun jolt into everybody's arm. Speaking of Tyron Stokes, the recruitment continues. This is positive news, potentially. I did have to laugh at BBN just going nuts about the video of him getting a tattoo in a Seattle tattoo studio with a Kentucky game from 2012 on in the background. That has to be the most random thing I've ever seen. Steven, you broke it down, right? You
did some
found out that
research.
this is the Vanderbilt game from that season?
Yes, it's the 2011-2012 home game versus Vanderbilt.
How did you figure that out?
So first it was on CBS. So because we can tell by the lower third, so we just had to figure out which games would be on CBS, which is actually not that hard to figure out. We found a schedule eventually, but they're the games on the afternoons on Saturdays, right? That's the only games that can be on CBS. So found the Vanderbilt game, saw that Kentucky had like 38 points or 36 points in that in the screenshot, and then we just found the play. So yep, Kentucky Vanderbilt 2012. They won that game.
You're a psychopath.
Here we are doing detective work over recruitment again. Like, in a way, that makes me happy because it brings out the ridiculous part of this fan base. So I know you're the skeptic when it comes to Tyron Stokes, Nick, so I'll go to you next. Do you think it was intentional in that it's a good sign for Kentucky, or is Tyron Stokes just trolling BBN?
Oh, man. That I don't know if I can ever recall a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, this kid is just like, I think he really enjoys the recruiting stuff. He likes being recruited. He acts like he doesn't want it, but like he clearly does, because if he wanted over with, he would have just already done it. So yeah, I don't know. I've kind of just washed my hands of it, and what will let it be. I watched about 4 seconds of that screen cap TikTok video before I was like, I'm too old for this. Like, it's just not, I can't do it.
Well, he wouldn't have done that unless he liked the attention, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He stayed on there for 3.5 minutes until, shout out to Quincy, the guy who did it, until Quincy asked what his timeline was, and then he was like, nice to see you, Quincy. Click.
He appreciated the call.
He did. It was so great.
The other part that's crazy is just how long this is dragged on without him saying anything. Like, he doesn't really say anything, but yet there's always stuff, which makes it even more like, I think it actually fuels the fire even more, because this makes too much sense. He should have been at Kentucky a long time ago, but for whatever reason, he's not, and that's why I'm just skeptical.
There was also, I was just going to say real fast that there was also a live stream that he did where his phone fell, and it was just showing the ceiling of Rupp Arena for several minutes, and there were 3,000 people watching it. I mean, we have 1,100 people here, but we're covering all kinds of topics. He had 3,000 people. Mostly Kentucky fans.
I was one of them, and I felt so stupid.
I
felt
was one of them also.
dumb.
So 2 of the idiots
How
were
long
right
did
here.
you all watch it?
Like,
Too long. Like
a couple of minutes, and I was like, all right, my life, I need to do something else with my life, because I can't be watching an 18-year-old, his phone, not even him.
I felt so embarrassed afterwards.
It was dumb. But Tyron wants to control the narrative. Here, the one thing I've learned covering him for 4 years now since he first emerged as like the guy. Is he just wants to be in control of the narrative. What he hated about Kentucky emerging as the favorite and the likely landing spot for him when he was about to announce his commitment, Big Blue Madness weekend back in October, it was the fact that the word got out and it leaked and he wanted to be the one to leak it. And it just drove him crazy that something was being decided for him. Something was being announced for him that wasn't coming out of his own mouth. So that little opening, that minor weekend frustration where Kentucky thought it was in the bag, people close to Tyran said it was done to Kentucky, that little frustration window allowed all of this extra stuff to happen from there. So that's why part of it is just like, hands off, just take a step back, let this kid go on TikTok live and say what he wants to say and appreciate the call with Quincy and do Instagram lives with 3,000 people watching at Rupp Arena ceiling. And whenever that kid's ready to commit, whenever let him control the narrative, because it will be August until he commits if we don't.
It'll be interesting to say the least. But I know you've got to run, Jack. Your quick prediction on if or when we will hear about Justin McBride.
Ooh, big news. Yeah. Leaving his visit was the Louisville visit was the only one on the docket today that got canceled. So by process of elimination, that's a good sign. I've heard the visit went very well. It's one that I've talked to a bunch of people that have either coached him or covered him or just all of the above, that they actually really, really like Justin McBride. Probably not as the go-to starting power forward, but really just think highly of him as a role piece, as a guy who's going to come in and produce, has a really, really high floor. He's flawed defensively. Strength and conditioning has to be it's a work in progress, and it needs to be addressed this summer if he does decide to put pen to paper with the Cats. But everybody I've talked to absolutely loved him. His old coaches think the world of him, think he's an absolute sweetheart that fans would adore him. He'd be kind of one of those fan favorite guys. But I don't think that there's anybody else seriously pursuing him the way Kentucky is. And I do know that the visit went well. So it's kind of one of those, just when is he ready to make it public? But I'll say not today, but we'll go with a public commitment to Kentucky tomorrow. Let's just predict.
All right. We'll end the week on a high note. I like that.
Boom. Down to Kentucky and nobody. I like our shot. I like our chances.
Hey, let's
land this one, Pope. Let's go.
Yeah. Louisville's not in it anymore. Any day we can sort of technically beat out Louisville. It's a good day. So, all right, Jack, we'll let you get to it. Thanks for stopping in. See ya.
See you, Jack.
We'll continue with transfer portal stuff. USC center Gabe Dines was on his visit. There is video of him walking around Kentucky's campus, and he is not hard to miss because he's 7'5". So do either of you all have strong Gabe Dines takes? I guess I'll start in that. I don't really understand why Kentucky's recruiting him if they have Reese Potter, but yeah.
Well, that I just don't like what.
7'5"?
Yeah, 7'5".
So like for what's he going to do?
Be tall,
right? Like I mean, I don't get it. Like you need a forward and then shooters, which
right.
That brings me to I talked about it on the board some, but like just this whole Pope's whole roster building structure, it all made sense in year one. It's what got us excited about year two. And then he's just like, I'm going to do something different. And, we bought into it because that's what you do as fans. And then it was, part of my French, shit, right? Like, injuries aside, whatever. Like his whole decision to be like, we're going to get bigger and longer. And I know that that's a thing around college basketball. But why go back to the shooters plan? Like now he's going to creators. So you're going to have a bunch of point guards? Well, how are they going to have space to dribble and drive if you don't have shooters? Like, there should only be shooters that are getting lined up. I know McBride doesn't fit that bill. He's like your Mo Diabate replacement, essentially. But everybody else should just be, do you shoot 45% from three? Yes. Okay, we will recruit you. This guy's solid, but this is a Mo Diabate replacement, right? 6-man power forward type deal.
So it seems to me. Steven, it looks like you're itching to say something.
Yes. Why are we not pursuing shooters? Is there a really good reason? This isn't even about whiffing on anybody. I know there's not maybe there's not a Kobe Brea in the portal. But I mean, I'm looking at the roster. I think that, I really think that the guards we got can improve from three. But who's going to shoot the ball next year? Like from behind the arc. I mean,
Cam Williams and
I was gonna say
Cam is fine. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Cam is
but
fine.
that's only one person, and he
Yeah.
only had like proven to really go off and with multiple threes in a game, like towards the end of the season before he got hurt. So I think that's a valid concern. And as much as I love Trent Noah, I'm not going to buy into another summer of Trent Noah where they're hyping him up and he's the next best shooter in the world. So they definitely got to get some more shooters. I mean, some new names have popped up. The St. John's guard, Hosan Sanon. He's not a great shooter either. He was not
did
good.
Not step forward last year at all.
Yeah, Deshane Montgomery from Dayton. I haven't looked into his stuff a ton. It looks like he was known more as he steals the ball. He's really good on defense. I don't know his shooting splits or anything like that, but there's got to be more shooting. And maybe it's Milan Momcilovic if he decides to take his name out of the draft, which seems unlikely. That just seems like a Hail Mary at this point. But I'm with you, Nick. It's like his system works with shooters, but we're just focusing so much on creators right now. It's just, it doesn't give me a ton of confidence.
Yeah, I don't quite understand, but hey, Mitch Barnhart's not in the barn yet. There's still time. Maybe there will be another Croatian sensation that shoots 50% from three that comes in and we get overly excited about. But
there's a new name on KSR Plus actually. Jacob Polacek has a new international name.
Here we go.
6'11" forward.
Just generally speaking, though, like I don't like. That's the part where I think it should drive all of your concerns about Mark Pope, because what we liked about him and were able to live with, he's not trying to do, and I don't get it. Like, I've never built a house, but I've redone a kitchen, and there are a lot of decisions when you have to just do a kitchen, especially cabinets. I came in there. It's 4th of July weekend. That's when you get the best deal. We had already picked everything out. We had got the specs. This is what it's going to look like. And I'm like, all right, we just got to rubber stamp this. Just confirm some things, spank it on the bottom. It was 2 hours. All I wanted was a hot dog and a beer by the pool. We're sitting in there going over every single little detail. The comparison I'm trying to make is like, yes, you can change, you can tinker with little stuff, but keep the kitchen looking the same, man. And it's almost like he's decided to demolish his kitchen and start completely from scratch. Like, I don't understand that reasoning, because the first year, yes, they were flawed greatly, but those flaws might not have looked so drastic if you were healthy. And then that health excuse makes more sense. Right now, it just feels like we're wandering aimlessly through the desert. So that's where I'm having a hard time with the let's be positive people. Although, like, Alex Wilkins, fun. Alex Wilkins is
he'll be great.
Alex Wilkins is fun.
He'll be a lot of fun, and I like the fact that he's just going to be a sophomore. I mean, he could really develop under Pope. Yeah. That could be really, really fun to watch. I mean, even if he comes in and has, I mean, I'm not going to compare him to Otega Owe, but like Owe-esque first year, then maybe he'll have an Owe-esque second year at Kentucky. So that could be really fun to watch. I think what's happening now is the portal's closed. There are no new names coming in unless their paperwork is still being processed or whatever. It feels like the well is getting dry.
Jordan Burks.
Yeah, Jordan Burks. I had that on my list. Yeah, he's back in. Would you welcome him at the 4?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of would. I remember when he went in the portal last year, there was talk, would we want Jordan Burks back? And then there was talk he may follow Calipari to Arkansas. He ultimately did not. I think at this rate, I would welcome Jordan Burks back. Steven, what about you?
Oh, yes, I would. Yeah, hopefully he's figured some stuff out. We don't need him fighting anyone at halftime of NCAA tournament games. But yeah, he had decent numbers last year. I look at Justin McBride, and I made the comparison. He almost lines up exactly to what Ansley Almanor was, but albeit he's coming from a better conference than when Ansley was playing in. So I agree. Justin McBride is probably not your starter, but he can be a solid piece off the bench. If he ends up being a role player or somebody to come in and give you 15 minutes or maybe 20, yes, love it. I'll take Jordan Burks and roll the dice with him being the starting four, though.
That'd be fun. A lot of people think he's headed to Arkansas to ultimately play for Cal again.
Of course he will. I mean, I don't think they're going to get him, but I would take him. But yeah, it's not going to happen. But I got a little excited when I saw him enter the portal. Yeah,
I'm kind of. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go
at
ahead.
the same time. Okay, I was just going to address what Nick said earlier about the fans who are being positive. I'm trying to be one of those fans. I'm trying to just not panic until we see the complete roster. I just want to see it. I know it doesn't look like it's going to be great, but I got to see it first before I just go all doom and gloom. Everybody else is clowning on Mark Pope. I don't think that Kentucky fans need to add to that right now as we're trying to land players. But look, I mean, this is either going to go one or two ways. I mean, I think if it goes poorly, then there's going to be some tough conversations to be had. And so the worst case scenario, I guess, is it'd probably be the one that we're going to get. Honestly, they'll end up being, he's a good enough coach that this team, regardless of who else they add, will punch above its weight. They'll win games that they shouldn't, and then they'll end up in the tournament as a 7 or 8 seed again. So, but I'm going to try to look. This is me being positive. I'm going to try to be positive about this until we actually get to the finish line with this roster construction. Is that fair, Nick?
You all just saw like a Stephen Peak, like emotional, all the emotions in a 1.5 minute span there. It was beautiful. So I do like your attempt to be positive, because like you've said, you can't go anywhere online without seeing memes right now about Pope, and that's not fun. Like it's tough out there.
Some of them are pretty funny. Like
some of them have made me laugh, but at the same time, it's like everybody's dunking on him right now in Kentucky, and that's not fun. Like,
well, he's got to understand the assignment. Like, it's a tough one.
Right.
It's a tough one, and he's not using all of his resources. That's the other part. Like, we had Will Stein on KSR yesterday talking about how the front office works, and it is a very complicated operation. And what's Kentucky doing?
How many people are in that front office? It made it sound like there were like 10.
You have at least 4 full-time people who are like paid. That's general manager, assistant manager, director of player personnel. I forget the other, director of recruiting. And then you have all of the student assistant volunteers who are the film crunchers that sort of narrow the scope on all of it. Granted, this is different. This is different than you have a much wider scope. It's a lot more players. But Kentucky basketball should have 10 people in their front office. Like, at least a full-time GM and a full-time assistant, because like, how are you supposed to know? Like, that's how we got into the $22 million mistake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what the market values were. And the way that Stein explains it, it makes it just like, you can't do modern roster building without somebody dedicated full-time to calling out people's bullshit, because the way that it works is all these agents are just trying to make as much money as possible. They're self-interested, but they're the only way you can really gauge the market is that and word of mouth, knowing sources. Well, like, who's Pope talking to Jeff Goodman? Like, he doesn't talk to media members to feed him stuff. I mean, Will Fong and Tom Morley got individual shout-outs from Will Stein, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he knows how to play the game. Like, that's the kind of game you have to play. Pope has seemingly done he's used zero resources to do this. And that's the part of all of this that is just like, dude, like, it's not just hitting the nostalgic buttons and playing a fun brand of offense. Like, it is so much harder now. And like, Cal's even going to start running into it too. Like, he was able to punch above his weight with top tier talent for a couple of years, but that thing, the tread's going to run off those tires quick at Arkansas too. He's going to be stuck in the mud once again here before too long. So like, that's just how hard it is now. I saw a stat. There were more first-year head coaches in the NCAA tournament than ever before. It's because these people have to you have to know like the organizational structure, and you have less opportunities to miss, because it's not like you have 11 guys out there and one can overcompensate for another. If you miss on one, you don't have backup point guards aren't a thing. You're just taken to the bone zone. So like
Mhm.
I'm not trying to like be the Johnny angry online, but like we kind of know what it should look like, and you know, the jokes and all that stuff aside, like from a serious, just I'm trying to be an outsider here. I'm the football guy, just trying to compare it to that. This is like Mark. It looks more like Mark Stoops than it does Will Stein. And Will Stein hasn't coached a game, but it looks more like Mark Stoops than it does a successful operation.
Yeah.
Why do we not hire a GM? Why?
Why didn't we hire him? Yeah,
I know
the first year
because
there's
he's
only one
Rick
Rick
Pitino. He's Rick Pitino. Like
Mark
he's
Pope is
the
not Rick
greatest.
Pitino.
What's that?
Mark Pope is not Rick Pitino.
Yeah, exactly.
Rick Pitino is one of one. There's only one of them.
Mark Pope does not have the cachet that Rick Pitino has. Arguably the greatest college basketball coach in the history of the game. I mean, everywhere he goes, he wins. So Mark Pope is just the BYU coach who played at Kentucky. Now he has the head coaching job at Kentucky.
And Pitino has Mike Rapoli and no football program. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, also
he has
true.
a monopoly on there, and you know,
So just why
money.
it doesn't make sense though. Mark Pope, I thought he was smart enough to know his own deficiencies and to know that he should understand that he's not Rick Pitino. That yes, it's Kentucky. You have this, but I've always thought, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought that the prestige of the school lured in the coach, and the coach lured in the players. But like the players aren't going to be like, man, it's Kentucky. This is awesome. No, they want to go play for it. I mean, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, they didn't care about Kentucky until they got here. But they didn't care. They were playing for John Calipari. They were playing for Memphis. They were going to Memphis over Kentucky, all of them. And so, like, to think that you can just I'm Kentucky. I'm Mark Pope at Kentucky. It's going to be different. No, you're just Mark Pope to these players.
Well, I think what we're also seeing in action is Pope cares so much about this job, and he's kind of like he loves it so much that he's becoming stubborn and he won't micromanage. Like he won't delegate. He won't hire a GM. You can't do it all in this job.
No,
you just can't. You can't do any like high major coaching job or any coaching job all on your own. You have to set yourself up for success. And I think he's so determined to see it done correctly and thinking that his way is the best way that it's just falling apart. So hopefully the message hasn't gotten, to him too late. Some good stuff from the chats. Let's see. AOP Anthony Morris still has hope in Pope. Icon Badge GTA says, I just want to see Pope have a healthy team for one full season and then judge him. Until then, for sure.
It would be
that
nice.
Is so big. I mean, it's easy to ignore that and just look at the results, but I argue this all the time. Man, he has been so unlucky, just so unlucky. And I think it got into his head about what he thought his team wasn't tough enough that first year. Well, your team wasn't tough enough because, like, with all due respect, Travis Perry was guarding Mark Sears. Yeah. You played Alabama to 5 points when you had him at Rupp Arena with your basically full healthy roster.
Everybody forgets that. Everybody forgets that we were somewhat close in that first game, and then the other 5 or 6 or however many there have been since then.
They were tied in the under 4 timeout, so I think he got into his head he needed to be more physical, and not considering the injuries is not telling the full story though. Like
it doesn't, but like fans don't care. You're judged by wins and losses.
Yeah,
nothing really else matters.
Maddie G has a great comment. Steven is neither sad, mad, happy, or worried. He is all of them. Yes. Well, welcome to Stephen Peak. So there's
right, Can we get to something funny real quick?
Yes.
To break things up. Peak has kicked around this idea before, and I've kind of been like, "Are you sure about that? You sure you want to do this?" And he is committing to the bit. Peak wants to take a camera around with me to the Kentucky Oaks.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
we tried this before, by the way.
I thought that you all tried it before, haven't you?
We did, and none of it made it to the YouTube channel for good reason.
No, it was bad. But it was also like I was trying to be like Johnny on the street interviews, and that
oh gosh,
it didn't really work. And the infield, it's not as rowdy for Oaks Day, but I think in Steven's travel video format, it can work because you just kind of cut up stuff from there throughout the day, like We have
Yeah.
media badges, so we can just kind of go exploring for a little bit too. Like we can have some fun with it. But I am excited and nervous for that. I'm excited and nervous for this stinking half marathon I'm running on Saturday.
That's right.
Oh
Are
my
you
gosh.
excited?
What?
Are you ready?
No, like I don't know.
What's your longest run you've done?
I was doing like 7 miles at 8-minute miles. Like I was hauling ass, but that was a month ago, and like things have just gotten busy, and like I'm
The
kind of
7 miles is your longest run.
I did an 8. I did 8 once, and I've done like a 10K every week, but I'm just I don't know.
What's the weather supposed to be on Saturday? Do you have good weather?
60, maybe a little bit of rain, and it's early. My biggest problem is like I'm trying to do this practice stuff like in the heat of the day after my kid's been bugging me, and it's just like you're not like with it. But either way, I'm just like I'm not mentally. We're not like all the way locked in on it. It's just about getting there and just pushing through. We just got to push through.
You'll be fine. You'll have adrenaline on race day.
Yeah.
Is Adam running the same one as you?
Yes.
Okay,
That is great.
he's getting ready for it as only Adam Luckett can.
I will tell you, I've run, I don't know, like 5 or 6 half marathons in the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. I don't know, 5 to 8 years. I don't remember when I started doing it. And I am not a born natural runner by any means. But once you get there, your plan should be the night before, load up on carbs, have like an awesome pasta meal. Let yourself have beer or wine or whatever you want. Just don't overdo it. Get up about an hour and a half to 2 hours before the race. Give your body, without going TMI, give your body time to do its thing and wake up.
Yep.
Get down there, stretch out. The adrenaline's going to kick in. There are going to be people cheering. I don't know what the Louisville race is like, but at the Nashville half marathon, there's like a band every mile or something. And people are just excited. There's music. Have an awesome playlist, like already made with songs that when you need a boost will give you a boost. You're going to have a blast. And even if you have to stop and walk, who cares? You get a beer at the finish line. You can celebrate. And if it's not what you like, the time that you wanted to get, you have a goal for next time.
I don't care about that. It's just the like, I can run for an hour. 2 hours gets a little boring.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So, but hey,
don't go out too fast.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just gonna slow and steady wins the race. We're gonna push through. I am. Yeah. That's so. Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry. Go ahead.
Do it, Peak. Interrupt.
I'm so sorry. I saw this just now as I was.
Go.
Are they going to allow the fifth year senior thing to happen like this year, like within a couple of weeks?
Well,
like it's not really clear. They said they're voting on it next month.
Well, see, the NABC was like, "Hey, we agree. Like, we think this is a good thing. You all can't vote on it next month. What do you need a month to wait to vote on anyway?"
Right.
Because
I don't know.
That was like basically the whole point. They're trying to lobby them to vote quicker because there's decisions that are still up in the air. So.
I mean, that would shake up everything, especially when people have already gone through a lot of their NIL spending.
Yeah, I was just reading a quote that came across from Patino. He says that they've used up 80% of their NIL and that it would just lead to chaos. Like Otega Owe was supposed to participate in that Portsmouth Invitational tournament. He did not show up. And I'm not saying there's any chance that Otega Owe could come back. But if they pass this, technically it could be a possibility to, depending on what they decide to do with the current guys who've just left. So it would be wild. I would think if they do it, it can't be effective for guys this cycle, right? They would have to say it's effective starting next year. Otherwise, it's just insane.
It would be crazy. It might help Kentucky though. So maybe we hope that it happens.
Let's see. We got some good comments. Captain Crash has done one full marathon. Icon Badge GTA says, I jog gingerly. Clem Chatter, I lost 65 pounds and got up to 5K and my body fell apart. So more power to Nick and anyone who runs marathons. Yeah, you'll be fine. I've thought about running a full marathon, but that gets to the point where it's like your toenails are falling off, and it's like the bodies are not meant to run that far.
No.
So no thanks. But you'll be great. You'll have fun.
Yep.
Hopefully the rain holds off, because I've run one in the rain and that is no fun at all. But you know what could be fun tonight is the NFL draft. It starts tonight. The Titans have the number 4 pick. Very interested to see what they do. I think we're going to go after the Notre Dame running back, which I would be all for. Nick, can you just give us a rundown of where UK's guys are expected to go? No one's going to hear their name called tonight, right?
No.
But maybe tomorrow night.
But Jalen Farmer and Kendrick Wall, they could both be day 2 picks. Wall is just one of those sort of freak athletes that, also has some expertise in kickoff return that a team might find vital. And Jalen Farmer just had an exceptional combine, great tape. His position isn't the most valued per se, so might slide out of that day 2 range, but he could be around 3 pick. Apparently running backs just stink in this draft, which could help Seth McGowan get selected, which would be very cool to kind of see his rise up. And Jagger Burton, he's another one who had a great combine and should ultimately hear his name called, especially because he's just got the positional versatility. Showing that he could start at center for a year, I think is really valuable. So probably 4 guys going to get picked. Dave Gusta might get picked as well. Maybe Josh Braun could too. But it is just quite an afterthought just because everybody's just looking ahead, like they don't really want to look back to what the last guys did. And it kind of stinks for them, but hey, they're not going to be mad. They're getting their name called at the NFL draft. They'll be happy with it. So I don't know. I'll have the draft on tonight, but I will say that it is one of the I used to be very anti-NFL draft until the Laramie Tunsil gas mask happened, and I've just been locked in ever since. But it really has been, of all of them, this feels like one of the least buzzworthy. It's not just because
we've got the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel drama. That's our Laramie Tunsil of this year. That's I'm tuning in for drama on that.
But that's just on Twitter. That has that's not they're not gonna be talking about on the broadcast or anything. Which that thing
they should.
Yeah,
we have an alt cast where we just get some celebrity gossipers on there to talk about it. I'd totally
get the Andy Cohen to host a roundtable of Bravo people. That's insane. And here's another thing too that's insane: the fact that Louisville's just asking Papa John to take him back is that. Yeah. That is another
need those NIL dollars.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. What a time to be alive.
I know the UK Board of Trustees meetings kind of overshadowed the U of L ones, but
we got enough. Yeah, we got enough stuff going on in Lexington to focus on what's happening in Louisville. So
yeah, well, let's run through some KS Board questions. I think we only had a few. I know you got to get out of here, Roush. So if you need to take off, please do. All right, in there says, on the topic of a new AD, what's the one skill set you'd like to see on their resume, excluding relationship to Kentucky? I'll start. I'll just say an acknowledgement of the importance of a front office position in every sport, especially your money makers of football and men's basketball. Boylstein clearly knows the importance of that. The GM has got to really take that, the AD has got to take that the next step and make sure the GMs are in place where they need to be. Nick, what about you?
I just would really like an outsider. No offense to the others, but the fresh perspective, I think, would go a long way. And how it also applies to football, John Summerall would have been a very similar to a Stoops thing. And look what it's been like to have the sort of antithesis of that. Young Summerall is obviously a little more fiery, a lot more successful at all of his other stops, but you were going to see a similar product. And I think Mitch has done an excellent job of being, the budget guy and keeping the financial boat afloat. But here's the other part too. It's almost like hiring an assistant coach. You don't always know who these assistant coaches are, so you can't really have an opinion. I kind of want that for the AD. If I have a strong opinion about the AD hire, it's probably a bad one,
That's a good point. Steven, what about you?
Do the things that would make Kentucky cool. I shouldn't be just blown away by South Carolina's pregame atmosphere in football. This is not the most important thing, but Nick covered the most important thing. You've covered the more important things. Make Kentucky basketball great. Like, whatever you got to do that, that's number one. But I do want there to be attention to detail as far as game day atmosphere, the pregame presentations. Build up an atmosphere inside of Rupp Arena and build up an atmosphere inside of Kroger Field, which I think like Will Stein will be on him for that, honestly.
Yeah. He's already talked about that. Yeah.
I mean, he's setting those stands for a long time. Make it cool. Like, when I go to South Carolina and I am fired up, and it's not because my team's getting ready to play, like, even though that's always been the case. I've been there twice now, Roush. We're going there again this year. Mm-hmm. I'd think about, man, this would blow me away as a recruit. And so let's do that stuff. I think that those are easy fixes.
So this is kind of off topic, but you remember on April Fool's Day when UK sent out that picture of Kroger Field with a blue turf?
Yeah.
It kind of made me think with the Jeremiah Dickey stuff. I was like, did they know back then?
Yeah.
A reference to Boise State.
Yeah.
So it would be really cool if I'm sure it's totally separate. But okay, what's our next question? Finnegan Ham says, did Mark Pope send all the information about Barnhart and the law school dean to Andy Bashir, knowing this would create a smokescreen and we wouldn't talk about the transfer portal for a few days? If he did, that's a brilliant move. Because
all
yes,
that chess
it
experience,
It's right.
Yeah.
Chess while other people are playing checkers. It's definitely created a distraction. I'm sure that as much as Mark Pope loves Mitch Barnhart, I'm sure he's happy to have a little of attention off of his program. Although that's just momentary when it comes to Kentucky basketball. So
like 5 minutes for me. I was right back into like, all right, who we got coming in? Like, how with Justin McBride, we're going to get it a commitment. It's us versus nobody else. Are we going to get this one? Mark Pope versus Kentucky.
I thought they were down to 0 people coming in. So,
yeah,
at least they got somebody visiting, even if he is 7'5". And
we got another visitor coming tomorrow. Yeah,
couple somebodies.
Washington State, guard who could be a backup. The guy who played a George Rogers Clark. So that's another depth piece. Yeah, another Kentucky kid.
So he's a Kentucky kid. If he's a Kentucky kid or a brother or a son, then
yes.
he got him.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
we're feeling great.
Not trying to be a jerk and leave him being a jerk, but like, come on, people. Like, are we not seeing this?
Give it some time, Nick. Let's just calm down. Where's Jacob? Just calm down. It's going to be okay. They will. 5 coaches have won a national championship here. It will happen again.
Come save us, Jamal Crawford. Come save us, Tyron Stokes. But all right, well, we'll wrap it up here. Shout out to Country Boy, who is back on board. We love them. I'm loving my halfway home. I'm toasting to them right now. Shout out to you guys in the chat. You have been awesome. You've been rolling today. And we will see you next time. Go Cats.